The desert is an incredible, delicate environment, an environment that I feel like I have to protect. In the same time, it's resilient and full of life. Coming here and finding a place where at the core of the idea was to really think about our impact as a society on Earth.
As we've packed our populations more densely, we've become more distant from one another. If those cities encouraged people to collaborate and cooperate rather than consume and compete, we might actually see a shift in the way that we behave towards one another, but also the way that we behave towards the natural world.
Arcosanti has really connected so many people. We become a family.
The hot bronze, it's about 2,500 degrees when they do the pour. And then the sand is really good at removing the heat from that molten bronze. So within about 2 or 3 hours, they'll be ready to break open these sandboxes, and these are what come out. The bronze bells provide about half of the income for our site every year. The cool thing about these designs is there isn't any set design for any of this. It's up to our artisans to take inspiration from both the landscape and the architecture. The interesting thing about the question what Arcosanti is that answer is probably going to be different depending on who you ask. What makes us an urban laboratory is that this is a place where we can try new things. It's an ongoing experiment. An ongoing experiment in community, alternative construction, in connection.
I know the bean.
Who's that? Is that Uncle Tim?
What you doing?
It's just an internal knowing that this is more so how humans are supposed to live. I don't take it for granted. Every day I give thanks for my home.
There's a handful of people still left here from the earliest days of the project. And then about 30% of the community would be in the more 5 to 15 year range.
A segment of the community here is transient. So they come for a workshop or they come for an internship. They're here for a few months, up to 6 months perhaps. And so the culture here really gets affected by whoever just happens to be here at the time. Like, I like to call us an incidental community because it's sort of like whoever just happens to be here.
Cool, guys. Well, thank you all for being here today. Has anyone been to Arcosanti before?
20 years.
Okay, welcome back.
25 years.
Hopefully something's changed since you've been here last.
Probably a bigger TV.
Probably. Bigger TV. Probably the same tour videos still. Also. Cool. My name's Tim. I'm the Director of Community Engagement here at Arcosanti. If you wanted to trace the lineage of this whole project, you could probably make an argument that the publication of this book is what that was. So this book is called Arcology, City in the Image of Man. Arcology was asking what would a city look like if we reimagined it as an organism rather than as a mechanism. Discussions about really what we'd probably call today biomimicry, which is to say that nature has done a lot of work to design things for us. We're always trying to sort of reinvent the wheel, but nature has spent millions of years coming up with incredibly complicated ways to do things. Arcology is the combination of architecture and ecology. And so you have arcologies that are designed to go over bridges, you have arcologies that are designed to go inside of dams. There's one arcology in here that's meant to go in outer space, which was pretty out there in 1970, right? But that's actually a lot of what we're discussing nowadays is what is the future of human habitation outside of this planet going to look like? On the last page, you have Arcosanti, or Arcosanti 1500.
When we started the project in 1970, we really followed this master plan, but we ended up building much smaller structures. Over the year, there are quite a few students and interns contributed to this project. even in the planning area. I was one of them.
Ground was broken on Arcosanti in 1970, and the founding architect, his name was Paolo Soleri. I think to a large extent what Paolo was doing was tapping into a generation of people crying out for something different. It was the countercultural movement in the 60s and 70s who were really interested in exploring what a different world might look like. To this day, a lot of our work relies on support from the outside world, from people deciding that they want to contribute in some way to seeing this project continue as a prototype for an alternative urban environment.
Okay, mince the rice, right? Okay, here you put a cup of water. So I've been here since 1994. It was November 1994, so you gotta do the math. Raising kids here has been, all in all, a great experience. They've benefited from being in an environment where they meet people from all over the world. I think they see the value of being here. We all believe in something bigger than ourselves, you know, and that this project could have an impact on society. So all of these things kind of brings us all closer together. I guess what I would like to see is that we're not just this isolated bubble in the desert, but that we really reach out to more communities. That's the future of the place, is to really develop an alternative to what is not working in our society.
It's much easier to find balance, I think, when there's not this time spent in commute, and you can really just focus on the work and then enjoy life. Residents here work on a variety of projects. Bronze Foundry, where they're crafting bells, and we have our ceramics studio right behind us here, where they're just working every day on making these beautiful handmade goods. And then additionally, we have our maintenance and construction teams. They're constantly trying to find ways to improve utilities and introduce sustainable technologies like that. If you want to be a resident here, you have to be bringing something to the community, right? And it has to match with some need that we have in order to keep this project moving forward.
There's your butterflies. I knew that Nova would just be seen, and she gets known by so many amazing people here. To know her as she grows and to celebrate her, I just wanted her to be surrounded by love and community. I would love to be able to go down into a field and pick fresh produce with her, and to be able to teach her about the plants and know that we're supplying food to the cafe. I think growing our own food is a pretty big next step in getting the agricultural program up and running again. And it's really exciting to feel like we're going to become a hub again for dialogue on sustainability and cities.
What's really magical about Arcosanti is that you discover places. And the architecture is also very sculptural. The way it frames the landscape, you know, either it's a round window or it's a little path that opens up.
We are here not just theorizing the idea of ecology, but also we are at least trying to demonstrate what the potentials of the idea of ecology can present. So you actually can experience it physically.
When you live around the same 80 people all the time, some days are incredible and some days are really difficult. But even the days that are bad, at the end of the day, we all still like hanging out with one another. So, the workday ends and we all go home and shower and make dinner, and then all gather back together again and go do something. What it says to me is that on some level it works.